back starting on Sunday?
Yeah, it's just I look at it as another opportunity, and it's exciting, and that's all you can really ask for, as a player is opportunities, and my process and preparation all week has been the same, as the previous weeks, and it'll be exciting, obviously after being out for a week, to get back out there and get a chance to make some plays and get some things going.
Hugh Jackson indicated that he really wants to take a look at you now and really determine if you can be the guy, and they don't have to worry about bringing in another quarterback in the future. Just could you touch on whether or not he's expressed that to you, and then also your approach now as you enter what is probably best termed an audition.
Yeah. I mean, that's those last 5 games or games that those 2 games I came out in, but that's how every game is. It's an opportunity. And that's how you have to approach it as a player. And whether it's one play or a full game or a couple plays here and there. There's so many good athletes and good players in this league, and it's tough to be successful. You have to work really hard at it, and for me, my approach has been the same. These last 5 weeks that I got a chance to play and start. Going into this week and whatever happens, moving forward is, I just prepare the same way and approach it as an opportunity, because you never know how many you're going to get. So my process and my preparation, has been that is prepare as a starter every week, and to get another chance, another opportunity this weekend is exciting for me, and I'm just going to continue to take it the same way and treat it the same way.
When you're going up against Dak, is there any part of you that wants to say, hey, I'm better than he is, or as good as he is, or is there anything like that?
No. That's I'm not going to be on the field the same time as Dak, and so for me it's focusing on their defense, focusing on controlling what I can control, and that's how I play, and that's how we play as an offense, and that's been my biggest focus. And you never want to make it about anything other than the team. So for me it's always been team oriented, team focused. Everything's about the team, everything's about the offense, and that's just the same mindset I've always kept. It allows you to eliminate all the other outside noise and different things that may, be brought up throughout the week or maybe a headline. But for me, it's always been just focus on what I can control, and that's how I prepare and play, and that's how the offense plays.
Are you grateful? He could have gone back to McCown. Are you grateful to be able to get back in there and get this extended opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's another opportunity, and I'm excited. Very excited. It was tough, being out last week, but Josh has still been, great for me. He's been awesome, and he's been the same way during this week and helped me out. And, I'm very thankful that I have, Josh McCown as a guy as a mentor, as a guy to look up to, a guy to learn from. And he does, and has done so many great things in the NFL and for this team. And I've been very fortunate, to have him, right there helping me out. And, like I said before, I might bug him sometimes and ask him too many things, but he never hesitates. He's always right there to help me. And just yesterday we stayed and watched film together, and he stayed here, late with me and watched it and helped me out and walked me through different things. So I've been very fortunate to have Josh, as a mentor.
What's it say about him that some guys? I mean, he's a competitor, so some guys might be bitter going back to the other guy, but he's like the opposite. Right?
He's been awesome. Yeah, he's just a true pro and a guy that I truly want to learn from. If I'm fortunate enough to play as long as he did, a lot of that would be due to him, just because everything he's taught me so young and so early in my career, and just not even the football side of it, just how to handle things, how to focus on different things and control, like I said, what you can control and not make it too big for yourself. And he's been great, this whole week and throughout, really since I've been here. So I've been very fortunate.
What if, obviously Hugh showed a tremendous amount of faith and belief in you by drafting you, but what do you think you need to show going forward here to prompt him to feel comfortable with showing even more faith and giving you more of a commitment?
Yeah, and for me, it's just been the same as always. Just give it everything I have, and do everything I can to help us win, and prepare. And like I said before, I never want to go into a game, nervous or not ready or feeling unprepared. And the rest of it will come. Obviously I got to make plays, and third down's another big emphasis. But there's only so many things that you can do, each time you're out there. So you don't want to try to do it all at once. You focus on the situation and that play or that game or that whatever it may be. And for me, I want to continue to keep growing and keep learning. This game it's tough. The NFL is hard, You have to always be tuned in, always be prepared, and continue to work hard, and that's something that I want to continue to do.
Is that something has he spelled it out to you? I mean, has he met with you and said, hey, Cody, you're the guy.
No.
This is what I'm expecting going forward and what I'm looking for?
No, he's just always helped me out, always telling me, what to read on certain plays, what to do in this situation, how to make this play work, different things like that. So that's always been, big for me to have your head coach, that involved with you as a quarterback and in that position. And he's done, a lot of great things that have helped me, feel a lot more comfortable. And he's a big part of my success so far as well. And, and things that have happened. But, it's a tough league, like I said, and you got to lean on those guys, with your head coach and Pep and Josh McCown and Robert and all these other guys that have experience. I've been very fortunate to have them help me out.
When you look at, obviously Dak's record, he's won 6 straight, and then, your record isn't obviously what you want it to be right now. Do you have to, remind yourself that, certain people land in different situations? You landed on a team that's rebuilding and not necessarily ready to win yet, and he landed on a great team.
No, I love it here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, and I'm excited, and I love that, the underdog mentality. And obviously there's been some games we've been very close in, and unfortunately we didn't finish, and it presents itself a challenge. That's what it is each week. Okay, we didn't finish, and we didn't get this one, but, next week let's work on this. Let's work on putting a complete game together. Let's finish, and it's always a challenge, and it's exciting as a competitor. That's what you want. You want a challenge. You want something that's not given to you, but you got to work for it. And this team has been, through a lot, and it's awesome to be a part of it. And like I said, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. And this front office and the coaching staff and the players and the guys in this locker room have been great to me and the other rookies. And they've welcomed us in, and we want to do everything we can to help them out.
So your statistics through your 5 starts are impressive, and we know you played well, but you haven't won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my question is winning a quarterback stat? Because, for instance, whenever anyone writes about, just any name over there, Tank Carter, we don't say he's such and such as a starter. The record's always tied to the quarterback. Is that fair, and is that really something that you're responsible for?
Yeah, obviously it's a team effort, and your offense, defense, everyone together. But as a quarterback, that's something you take pride in. Being the starting quarterback and winning a game, and that's something that you should take pride in. Obviously, if you're the starter, and that's a big part of it. And for me, obviously, we haven't got one yet, but that just it makes you want it more and more and more. And we've been close a couple times, but at the end of the day, you have to continue to compete and do maybe something extra here and there, or some guys. And but that's the best part about this team. Guys work together. We're a team. Everyone helps each other, and you never put it on one person. You never point out anyone. We always stay together. And for me, I just want to do everything I can to help us win. And that's my goal, and that's my job as a quarterback is to put us in the right position to win, to make plays, to do things that are necessary for you as a quarterback to win a game. And that's the main stat I care about. Like I told you guys before, and I know it might sound like what you're supposed to say, but that's truly how I feel. The other stats are what they are, and obviously if you have good stats, it gives you a better chance. But at the end of the day, as a quarterback, you focus on winning the game, and that's what your main goal is.
When we talked to Dak on the phone the other day, he admitted that if he wakes up every day motivated to prove everyone wrong for overlooking him all the way until the 4th round of the draft. Can you sort of understand where he's coming from with that, and do you feel the same way about your situation?
Yeah, you always wake up motivated, and especially as a competitor, and you want to be successful, you want to do things like that. But his situation is different than mine, obviously, and that's something that, that's how he feels and that's how he works. And Dak's a great guy and a great quarterback, and I know he works hard. I've known him for a while, but yeah, that's for me. My focus is always in come in and do everything I can and compete. And I've always felt that. If you get beat out or if you lose and someone's just better than you and plays better, then okay. But, I could never live with myself if I didn't do enough. And I felt like, I didn't put everything I had into it. And that's always kind of my mindset when I wake up and go through the day and go through practice and preparation, watching film is, you have to put everything you have into it. And that's what it takes, to be successful. And like I said, watching Josh, Josh has a process every week he does. And, I'm trying to learn from that and pick things that work for me and things that I, might do different. But, yeah, that's as a competitor and whatever sport it is, and especially football, you want to put everything you have into it and work as hard as you can to be successful.
But getting overlooked until the 3rd round of the draft and not being mentioned,
Yeah.
those other guys,
like I said, man, that's something I can't control. And that's all I wanted was an opportunity, and I was very happy and very fortunate that the Cleveland drafted me, and I was very excited. And for me, it's just, at the end of the day, it's focused on what you can control, and I'm excited to be here. And you get an opportunity no matter where, and you see all the time stories, guys get drafted here and there at different spots, but, the main part of it is when you get your chance and what are you going to do with it. And that's just been my focus, is getting these opportunities, getting games like this as a rookie is, I want to go out there and play well and prepare and do everything I can to help our team win.
Having to sit out a week, was there any rust factor this week in practice, and were you able to knock it off?
Oh,
It was?
yeah, it was. Obviously last week was tough, not be able to do anything, but this is a protocol, and obviously it's there for a reason, and you just got to go through it. But getting back out, it was awesome to be back out there with the guys in the practice field, and no, I felt very tuned in. I was mentally all week. Last week I was in every meeting, watching film, doing everything I can that was allowed of me through the protocol. But yeah, it was great to get back out there and kind of pick up where I left off, and continue to get some rhythm with the guys again.
You talk about opportunities that, that are presented to you or in front of you, whatever, but how do you compartmentalize the enormity of the opportunity that's in front of you while also maintaining the level of focus that you need to have week to week and not become overwhelmed by it?
No, you just, like I said, you keep it the same, and it's just another game. It's another opportunity, another game, and you can't make, like I said, the moment too big. You want to stay focused and stay in your own lane and control what you can control and be involved with these guys in the locker room and on the practice field. And everything else, outside of this locker room and the front office and the coaches is just things you can't control, and like I said, headlines or different things like that. So what I focus on is like I said, my team and the guys around me and, the coaching staff and everyone. You just, focus on that, and it really helps you, stay calm and narrow everything down.
Uncertainty at center, does that, heading into the game, does that, rattle you in any way that you don't know necessarily who's going to be snapping the ball?
No, I've played with all of them, Cam and obviously Greco was there and Austin Ryder for a week. So we have a lot of guys that feed off each other and do a great job. And, it really is kind of the next man up mentality. So, whoever's in there and ready to go on Sunday, we all have that chemistry and we all work together and got reps together. So, you just continue to go and whoever's in there, you guys just compete together.
Very good.
Well, can I ask one more thing real quick? How have you and Corey been connecting as the week has gone along?
Yeah, been really good. Really good to have Corey back out there. Obviously, he's, a very great football player, great competitor. And, we worked on stuff all week and got to throw with him and get a rhythm back. And, like I said, I've been throwing with Corey since, combine train, all that. So it was nice to have him back out there and running routes and be in full go. So, and he's, like I said, a competitor, and he's excited to be back out there.